Okay, that's how it's going to look when it's glued into place. I think it's pretty sharp looking. Before I glue anything into place, I want to actually install a reel on here, because I need to make sure that I've got enough distance here for a standard reel to fit in there before you tighten it up. So I'm going to go ahead and just take this tape off. It would get in our way. Use a lot of masking tape when you're building a rod. Okay, well, I'm just going to take one of my reels, and I'm just going to go ahead and put it in here. Oh yeah. So as you can see, there's plenty of room here. The reel seat is all the way in at the front, so even if if you want to put a different reel on here, sometimes there can be a slight deviation in the size of the reel seat or the reel feet. I'm going to tighten this up a little bit, but not too tight. If you tighten it up, you're pushing this up. It's not yet glued into place. Alright, so that looks pretty good. That's the way it's going to sit when it is finally glued into place. One of the reasons why I got this reel out was, of course, to check the clearance here. Because of the way that this is designed, it's possible to really push this in further. Well, you need to decide if that's something you truly want to do or not by testing with a couple of different reels. So when I pushed it all the way in, suddenly I have a lot less clearance. This is screwed all the way out, but if I put a reel here, it's just barely fitting in. So I need to make sure that I don't push this all the way down. But I want to have enough wood into that recessed piece that I can have a good grip in there with the epoxy. So this is really about where I want it. I've decided on that. I'm going to take my handy dandy China marker and just mark the rod here. Because when I'm sanding this rod, I definitely don't want to sand up into this area. And I don't want to push this so far down that I really crowd the reel foot. So at this point I can take this off of here. And now, this is the section that I need to sand so that the reel, the cork handle, can have really good adherence to this with the epoxy. So, to be on the safe side, I'm a little superstitious about these things, I'm going to put a little bit of tape here. And not a great deal, I'm just going to kind of run it up here. You know, this is just insurance. If I slip this sandpaper, I don't want to be marring up that section of the blank that I want to look nice. All this is going to be underneath the cork handle. I can sand at will. Now I haven't put any tape on this wood here, so to be safe I'll just put a little bit of tape on the wood as well. Just make sure that I'm not going to slip and scar that up with the sandpaper. Alright, so now I'm just going to sand this little section right here. You don't have to do it severely, you know, you just have to get it to the point where it's roughed up. All you're trying to do is take off the shiny surface that came on this rod blank from the factory. Okay. Alright, that's nice and roughed up. And this is where our reel seat's going to go, or our cork handle is going to be mounted. This is also the winding check. And the winding check is going to get slid down on the rod. That's going to give you a nice transfer from the blank to this reverse half wells grip that we're using. We're going to set this aside. We'll be putting that on last. At this point, we're ready to mix up some epoxy and actually glue this into place. But there's something very, very important that we need to talk about first. I've got a mark here, so I know how far I can come down. I use that China marker. I don't want to run it all the way down. I'm crowding the reel seat at that point, and it might be difficult to get a larger reel in there. I'm backing it off just a little bit. I'm bringing it up to my China mark there. At this point, this is really where I want it to be. However, this is going to be stationary. We have to take into account where the belly of this rod is, because when you're holding a fly rod, the reel's straight down. You don't want it to be off to an angle. You want it to be straight down. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually look for those white marks that I put on this blank that denote the belly of this rod. Right now, they're here on the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take this. I'm going to take this reel. I'm going to mount it in here, but I'm just going to kind of do it loosely. So now I'm going to basically lay this out so I've got a nice long sight plane. The blank is facing out away from me here. My white China marks are visible. I'm going to use the light so that they shine up really, really well. And then I'm going to adjust this. I'm going to twist it just a little bit so that that reel is straight up and down with my white marks. That way I know that the reel's facing straight up on the belly of the rod, and so are those white marks right there. So now when you're holding the rod, and it just moved a little bit, when you're holding the rod, the reel's down. This is the belly of the rod, and all of the guides will be mounted along there as well. So make sure you take the time to actually put a real reel in here, and make sure that everything's good before you start gluing things into place. So this is good. This is exactly where I want it to be. So now I need to mark this some way. And what I'll do is I'll actually once again use the China marker. And what I'll do is I'll mark the rod, the vertical mark, and then I'll let that China marker come on to the cork a little bit. The China marker will adhere to the cork. You will be able to see it there, and it's very easy to just rub right off of there. So that's where I want it, and that's where I'm going to glue it. So I'm going to take this off, and we'll mix up some epoxy and start. Holding this up, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to start putting epoxy on this blank. I'll lay it on kind of thick here, and then just kind of rotate. I'm going to put really the majority of it up at the top because I'll be sliding this cork handle down, okay, and it'll carry a lot of the epoxy where I want it to go as a result, further down there. So I'm laying this on pretty good. Yeah, this is going to be really nice. I'm going to take just a small amount of this glue that I had mixed up. I'm going to put it down here at the bottom. I'm going to stay far away from this little recess where I know that the reel seat needs to go. Definitely don't want to get any epoxy in there. It's time to go ahead and just slide this on. Kind of watch the progress of this as you're pulling it on there. Oh yeah, that's going on really, really nicely. Okay, so that's in. Now I need to really quickly look at my mark here so that I know how far to bring it down and where to rotate it so that the reel seat is on the belly of the rod. And that's the spot right there. I'm going to leave it in a level position to dry. And in this particular case, I'm just actually going to get out my rod dryer. Make sure that your index marks are correct, or else this is not going to be in the right place and your reel is going to be cockeyed. And also, make sure that you've not accidentally pushed some epoxy onto this nice wood reel seat. It's all nice and clean. We didn't use too much epoxy. We used just enough epoxy. So in about 4 or 5 minutes, this is going to be hard enough that you don't have to worry about any epoxy running anywhere. Really the last step to hooking up this handle is putting on the winding check.